and welcome once again to Stone Soup.
The world according to sci-fi geeks.
And despite all appearances, this is not the anime corner.
No, this is more a case of, I know more about this subject than Moogie does, so I'm subbing in for her.
So, there you have it. So today we are talking about aliens versus Predator.
By request.
Yes. Now, we should start with, you may recall we've done reviews of some of the Aliens and Predator movies before. The whole family are fans of both of these series. And like most of the fans, we were quite eager to see the proper crossover ever since Predator 2 showed us a xenomorph skull in the Predator trophy case.
Oh, yes.
But this is what we got.
Well, this
is the sequel. Yeah. This is the first one.
Predecessor.
Now, don't get us wrong. They're not bad movies, but they're nowhere near as good as they could have been.
Basically, they're shockfest, but not as big a shockfest as Alien Resurrection.
Very little reaches that level. Of course, part of what it suffers from is they didn't really do anything new or original with it. Well, I mean, the first movie, we have this hidden pyramid, and apparently a long time ago, humans worship predators as gods. You'd think we would still know a little about that. You would think this would be pointed out in the first couple Predator movies where they referred to the predators as demons. I forget the exact Spanish phrase, but I remember the translation, the demon that makes trophies of man. And if aliens had been on Earth, even if only briefly, you think they'd still loom large in our myths and legends about monsters. But by the aliens' future and timeline, there's no knowledge of them whatsoever. So this doesn't really work for us. No, they don't work as dragons. But
that's more the ass blasters of Tremors.
Yeah. But amongst other issues here, like a lot of slasher movies these days, we don't actually get to know any of the characters before they die. I mean, their names might as well be Gonna Die, About to Bite It, Sayonara Sucker, and Dog Meat. That's all we get to know them as.
Pretty much.
And you know what? If you don't get to know the characters, you don't care very much when they die. I mean, that's why slasher movies have become such a joke. You go in knowing you're going to watch most of these people croak.
So you're basically going, okay, what horrible way is this sucker going to die in? Ooh, that really hurt.
Yes. But the movies especially suffer because before they were made, throughout most of the 90s and the aughts, there were comics and novelizations about...
3 novelizations anyway.
Yes. And this actually is a novelization of these 4 comics of Aliens versus Predator. And the movies use some of the details from the comics, so we know they knew they existed. But they only use a couple of details, that the last human is female. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! That she has to team up with the last surviving predator, and that in the end he marks her, either as a graduate of his class, as a member of his clan. We don't rightly know.
Well, considering he himself was a trainee in the movie, it would be as a member of the clan, or a fellow graduate.
Yeah.
In the comics, it was definitely graduate because it was the Hunt's Master.
Yes. The thing is, the story in the comic books and the novels is a lot better than what we got in the movies.
Sadly.
Yes. I mean, in the comic books, it's in the future, like the Alien movies. You know, that's probably one of the things they had a problem is that the Alien movies are all in the future, the Predator movies are all in the here and now. And the comic books could have acted as a storyboard, but as I was saying, basically the comic books and the novels all take place in the future. These movies decide to go with here and now, which again, as we pointed out before, has issues and why it doesn't really work.
Another thing is, the first movie is basically a trap for us. We are deliberately led in to be alien fodder, so Preds can have aliens to hunt.
But the thing is, they have this heat signature go off. Well, that works nowadays when we have satellites and go, hey, there's a hot spot there that wasn't there 2 minutes ago. How did that work in the past?
Well, I believe the comic was originally, with the worshipping thing, they had people sacrificing themselves.
Well, yes, but that was like thousands of years ago. Again, there are holes here.
Yeah, a few holes in the plot.
Now, in the comic books, this is on some other planet humans have colonized, that the predators come around every 5-10 years, seed with aliens, because there are large animals there, kind of like cattle, and then they hunt. You know, they come back to do the usual thing and only realize later that, hey, there were humans there. Oops.
And
basically,
guess what we've chosen for cattle from the local livestock?
whoopsie doodle.
Oh, boy.
And basically, we just get caught in the middle completely by accident. It's a
Sucks to be us.
yeah, yeah, and it works so much better. You know, things go to pop from there. Of course, you know, in the novelizations, we actually see things from the predators' points of view, so we learn
Which
more
really
about their
adds to it.
culture. Yeah, we learn a lot more about them, about their culture. And that's also good. Now, again, that'd be a little harder to do with the movies since, well, we don't understand their language. But then again, subtitles. But, yeah, now the second Aliens versus Predator movie, again, it's a bit of a schlock fest. It's sort of a slasher movie with aliens. You know, basically picking up right where the first movie left off, give them points for that, wherein we find out that the chest hugger did indeed grab one of the predators and laid an egg, or whatever you want to call it, and boom, we now have a new combination of the two creatures. And I'll give them points that the design is kind of cool. It goes on a rampage, it crashes the ship, and now we have aliens running rampant in this little Midwestern town.
And a super experienced predator gets a distress alert from the ship, goes, oh fudge, grabs some gear and goes to clean up the mess.
Apparently this is something they do, and that makes sense in and of itself. If you're going to be causing this kind of mess and you don't want to permanently taint your hunting population, you got to clean up your mess.
Every
But
once in a while.
again, if this was happening, if this was known, why wouldn't Ripley's story have been believed? I mean, the government decided to nuke them from orbit because it's the only way to be sure. Yeah, I know what we've said in Hunger Games that I don't believe we would nuke ourselves, but just us, no. Rampaging aliens, that I could see nuking us for.
More. Now,
But-
1 point to these movies. Lance Henriksen's appearance in the first one.
Ah, yes, we love Lance Henriksen. But it also has the
Plus-
benefit.
In that, by having him there as the guy that Bishop was eventually modeled on, allows us to ignore A3 and A Resurrection from the canon.
So there's something to be said for that. Pick your poison. Which do you hate more? Because if you accept one, then the other isn't canon.
I've actually going to go out and live here and defend Alien 3. It is not really that bad a movie. The problem is where the alien egg was at the beginning.
That and they killed everybody we came to love in the second movie. Bastards.
Well, even that I'd be willing to forgive if they had a better excuse for where the alien egg was. I'm sorry, but the timing at the end of Aliens prohibits that egg from being where it was on the Sulaco.
Obsessive compulsive.
I don't care what lame-ass excuse you come up with, it doesn't work. I've gone over about 5 billion permutations. Nothing.
Can you tell we're slightly obsessive geeks? Either which way. It might not be too bad, but there are things about it that just
Drive you a little bit nuts.
like we said, these movies are not terrible, but they're nowhere near as good as they could have been. They have all this wonderful potential that they just wasted.
And of course,
Especially when we know there's a better story out there they could have done.
another thing that shoots these films in the ass is how they tweak the timing from facehugger to chestbuster.
Yes.
Let's review. In the original Alien, Kane gets hit with the facehugger.
Yeah.
And they have enough time to get him back to the Nostromo, into the medbay, do some tests, discover the acidic blood.
The hard way.
And he's still out with the facehugger on his face for at least a day or so before
Yes.
it comes off. And then he's still unconscious for another several hours before he finally wakes up.
And then he has enough time to probably shower, get dressed, and be halfway through dinner before.
Youch.
So
Oh no, we have established a timeline of about